Shana Tova, everybody! I'm Rabbi Sam Rotenberg. I'm one of the rabbis here at Sinai Temple in Los Angeles, and the rabbi to Atid, our young adult community. This is the very first Atid High Holiday service pre-recorded and put online. We hope you enjoy it. We'll be joined today by our Cantorial intern, David Childs, who will help uplift us in prayer. He and I will be singing some of the most familiar melodies on Rosh Hashana. We hope you hum along. We hope that the music is uplifting. At the end of our service today, we have a treat. Local comedian Tehran Von Gasri is going to join us and give us a recap of the year 5780, the year that just transpired. It's been a tumultuous one. And Tehran is going to help us remember some of the most exciting moments. So stay tuned. I hope you hum along. I hope you sing along. I hope that this service helps you connect to God, to these holidays, to your community. And let's get started. We'll begin with a song from Psukei de Zimra, the very first part of our service, called Nishmat Kol Chai. Nishmat Kol Chai, I'm happy to introduce our rabbinic intern, Kevin Lefkowitz, to share a few words about the Shema.
We often cover our eyes to focus on our other sensations. When we taste our favorite foods, when we smell a flower, or when we finally feel the fresh air after a long day of Zoom inside. For the same reason, we close our eyes during the Shema. Our ancestors began this practice thousands of years ago to think about their love of God. So in about 10 seconds, please close your eyes, take a breath, and take in whatever you're feeling right now in this moment, and sit with the words, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
The words of Avinu Malkeinu, our Father, our King, are meant to challenge you. What is God as a parent? What is God as a king? As a parent, God is maybe a bit of a helicopter parent. Over our shoulder, close, personal. It's the God that we can talk to, we can go to with our problems anytime we have them. As a sovereign, God runs the show. God sees the trajectory of the universe, its beginning and its end, and makes objective decisions in order to make it run as God pleases. What is God? Is God close and personal, or is God distant and mighty? Avinu Malkeinu asks us for a moment to hold both, to live with that cognitive dissonance that the God that we pray to can be both close and far, can be both personal and universal.
Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Koleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chatanu lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, Chamol aleinu, ve'al aleinu, ve'tapeinu. Malkeinu, kalei tever, v'cherev v'ra'av, me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, kalei chol tzar, u'mastin, me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, kodveinu besefer chaim tovim. Avinu Malkeinu, Choneinu v'aneinu, ki ein banu masi. Aseh imanu, tzedaka v'chesed. Aseh imanu, tzedaka v'chesed, ve'hoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Choneinu v'aneinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Choneinu v'aneinu, ki ein banu masim. Aseh imanu, tzedaka צדקה וחסד. עשה עמנו צדקה וחסד להושיענו. עשה עמנו צדקה וחסד. עשה עמנו צדקה וחסד להושיענו. אבינו מלכנו.
Shana Tova, everybody. Chances are, if you're watching this video, you have been around for some time now. You have been a child, you've been a teenager, you've been a young adult, maybe you've even been an adult. And I have a question to ask you for Rosh Hashanah, and that is this. In which one of those moments were you your true self? I ask that because this is the season of Teshuva, of returning. In the Torah it says, "V'hashevota el levavecha," you shall return to your heart, to your truest self. And so I ask you, where do you go? Which moment do you return to? In which moment were you truly yourself? Defining that moment is very difficult. And returning to that moment is even harder still, which is why on Rosh Hashanah, we are given a little help, a little nudge in the right direction through the sound of the shofar. I remember when I was a kid, 8 years old maybe, on the bima in Temple Emmanuel in Palm Beach, Florida, the shul I grew up at, trying my hardest to blow the shofar. I was getting a pretty squeaky sound out of my horn, and meanwhile, everybody around me, some were getting resonant sounds, some were getting even squeakier sounds than mine. And I remember the sound, I remember the feeling of the shofar. Like many of us, I was a child when I heard the sound of the shofar for the first time. I can almost remember what life was like as a kid. And I can do so through this one particular memory. When I was in 4th grade, I remember sitting at my desk. It was December in South Florida, and a gust of wind blew through an open window and rustled the papers on my desk and whiffed through my hair. I remember that feeling vividly because I don't think I had ever really paid attention to the joy of a cool breeze before. I knew in that moment that life was special, that the world had beauty and possibility in a way I had never noticed before. I, in that moment, could be anything. I was filled with confidence and a sense of ease from that gust of wind, and I was filled with that childhood outlook on the world that I could be anyone. My future was wide open. Since then, I have grown and learned more than I could have ever imagined. Now, I have found my limits. I have defined a character. Then each moment had magic inside of it. Elements that I did not yet understand, but I could perceive. Now I have to work hard to find wonder. Despite always growing, despite always moving forward, we are asked now to return. We're nudged to feel the magic of the cool breeze. We're nudged to feel that wonder and the possibilities inherent in childhood. To return to who we were before the years added countless layers around who we are deep down. Teshuva is not just individual, it's also communal. We say Ashamnu, Bagadnu. When we say our confession these high holidays, we do so in the plural. When did our Jewish community grow up? When was the first time we, Jews, our community, when was the first time we heard the shofar? The first time we heard the blast of the shofar was at Mount Sinai. It's written in the Torah that on that day, the sound of the shofar got louder and louder as we got closer to the foot of that mountain to receive the Torah. We were kids by today's standards. We were barely Jews. We had no Torah. In that moment, all we had was a shared history of bondage. We must be very old by now, our community, far into our years. We've been through a lot. We've grown up significantly since our days of wandering in the desert. Together, we have outlasted great empires. We've created vast works of law and philosophy. We've seen countless joys and sorrows. We've seen prejudice and expulsion turn into tragedy and Holocaust. We've seen redemption through a near literal rising from the ashes. To which point in history does our Jewish soul return to when it hears the call of the shofar? Let the shofar's blast take you back to that moment when we were children, standing together at Mount Sinai. We were naive, but we were united. We did not yet have our Torah, but we had a pure desire to connect to God as we stood in awe at the foot of that trembling mountain. Who would we become, this band of freed slaves, with the world ahead of us? Teshuva demands that we return. We go back to that moment when we stood together at Mount Sinai. We return to that part of ourselves that feels the magic in a cool breeze. We must return to that piece of ourselves that is deeper than the shell we've built around it, or else we lose track of who we are. If we remember where we came from, if we remember who we were before these many years transpired, then we reclaim possibility, we reclaim wonder, we reclaim those unadulterated pieces of ourselves that have not yet been disillusioned by the oppressive reality inherent in the human condition. The shofar is more than a tool to help us do tshuva. It's a protest to this unpreventable march forward in time. It might appear to you that as we grow, as time moves forward, we become more and more ourselves. Sure, it's true. We discover new possibilities. We discover new aspects of who we might have become. But our soul lies somewhere much deeper. Someplace we can return to, if only with a little help. This is the heart of tshuva, of returning. You have the power to change. Our community has the power to change. And when we return to those first moments, we remember the feeling of possibility that we can choose to be exactly who we want to be, that our future is not yet defined. So, we begin the year with a familiar sound, a sound that brings us back to the foot of a trembling mountain or a bima in South Florida, beyond which an unknowable future lies. Okay, Mayor, are you ready to blow the shofar?
Yeah.
Go for it. As part of our shofar service, we say a special prayer called Shehechianu, which thanks God for bringing us to this moment, to a new beginning. The words of Shehechianu, thank you for bringing me here, for sustaining me until today, so that I can begin a new year.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
Shema Kolenu. Hear our voice. That's what this prayer is all about. God, listen to me, please. It's so hard to be a human being. We have illness, we have hunger, we have strife, we have COVID. We have economies collapsing. The human condition is rife with challenges, and we need help sometimes, not only from each other, but we're asked to turn to God too and pray that God can help us. In this prayer, Shema Kolenu, we recognize that it feels often like God does not answer our prayers. And so this is a prayer to God saying, don't ignore us. Listen to our voice. Please answer us, because we can't do this alone.
Shema Kolenu Adonai Eloheinu Chus merachem aleinu Vekabel berachamim ברחמים וברצון שמע קולנו אדוני וקבל ברחמים ברחמים וברצון
Shana Tova, everybody. In a moment, local comedian Tehran Von Gasri will help us say goodbye to the year 5780 by helping us remember some of its most unique moments. But before we invite Tehran to help us say goodbye to these tumultuous 12 months, we invite our Atid director, Briana Benaron, who's going to share a few announcements about Atid High Holiday programming in the coming days. Welcome, Briana.
Thank you, Rabbi Rotenberg. Shana Tova, a sweet, healthy, and happy new year to you all. A few quick announcements. For those of you who have purchased your Atid High Holiday ticket, we look forward to seeing you tomorrow on Zoom at 1 o'clock for our live services, followed by our mixology event at 2:30 on Zoom. For those of you who have not purchased your ticket yet, and if you would like to participate in Atid High Holidays, we would love to have you. It's not too late. You can visit atidla.com and purchase your ticket. A few other upcoming high holiday happenings just for Atid ticket holders. This Thursday at 6 p.m., Rabbi Wolpe is making himself available just to Atid for a question and answer session. Any burning questions on your mind as we embark on this unpredictable new year, join us 6 o'clock on Thursday with Rabbi Wolpe. For Yom Kippur, join us for Atid services, for programming, reflection, meditation, yoga, some learning with Rabbi Rotenberg, All of this is available to you with the Atid ticket, which is available for $18 on atidla.com. We'll also be wrapping up Yom Kippur and the fast together with a Ne'ilah and a Havdalah service together on the evening of Yom Kippur. So we hope to see you for that as well. And with that, wishing you again a Shana Tova and hope to see you on Zoom.
It's my pleasure to introduce comedian Tehran Von Gasri.
Shana Tova Umetuka, everyone. My name is Tehran.
Get 'em. You know what it is. Black and Persian, black and Persian, black and Persian, black and Persian.
And I'm here to make your new year a little sweeter by reminding you just how bitter the past year has been. People love complaining about how terrible the year 2020 has been. They have no idea the roller coaster 5780 has been for Jews. We started this year last September when things were good. We had no idea what was to come. And as Jews, this is our second time around. We're about to finish 5780. We already had one crappy 2020, 3,760 years ago. You think this 2020 was bad? Jewish 2020? You know how bad that was? Ever heard of, I don't know, being slaves in Egypt? How about plagues and locusts? Guess what year circumcision started? That's right. I'm lucky I'm half black. The rest of you, why does it feel like when you're Jewish, every year is 2020? That's why everyone always says, oi. Point is, as Jews, we all know what bad years really look like. And while 5780 felt bad, it wasn't as bad as we think. Besides, the Gentiles still have another couple months to go. We're out this biatch. So allow me to recap all the things that have happened over this past year. 5780 was a busy one. It started off wonderful, right? Football stadiums were full of actual people, restaurants had indoor seating, and grocery stores had toilet paper. The only people wearing masks were surgeons and bank robbers. And your boy Tehran had 2 amazing shows a week at the Laugh Factory every Monday and Thursday, 10 p.m. Shameless promotion. Ah, the good old days. Last year feels like it was just yesterday. If yesterday was 100 years ago and you were stuck in R. Kelly's basement married to Carol Baskin the whole time. October, kids got to actually go trick-or-treating on Halloween legally. I mean, sure, it's against the religion and all, but at least it wasn't against the law. November, the weather was nice. December, Rabbi Rotenberg still loved his wife and children before being stuck at home with them every single day and every single night. It was even on his bio online. The world was everyone's oyster, if oysters were kosher, but they're not, except at Persian bar mitzvahs. I don't even know how that works. Then January hit. Good old Tavis and Shavuot combo. At least it felt like a combo. Hanukkah, Christmas, Gentile New Year, and rent being due all happened the same week. Let's recap January, shall we? Australia was on fire, the US was going to war with Iran, President Trump impeachment inquiry, locusts invaded East Africa, Philippines had a volcanic eruption, Turkey had a huge earthquake, the first COVID death happened, and this was all just the very first week of January. Talk about a WTF moment. We should have realized then 2020 would suck. 5780, go back to your country. Just to make things worse, we lost a living legend when Kobe Bryant, his beautiful daughter Gianna, and 7 other people tragically lost their lives on January 26th. The world's heart collectively stopped as we heard the horrific news. We were momentarily unified in our grief. People also all of a sudden became helicopter experts and knew exactly what the pilot should and shouldn't have done. This was the first of many careers people would suddenly become experts in this year. February, aka Shavuot and Utter, wasn't great either. Depending on your political views, President Trump was acquitted, several mass shootings, business was down, Even the Boy Scouts of America filed for bankruptcy. I mean, no one cared about that, but it still happened. And the first COVID death hit the US. Scariest of all, quarantine hadn't even started yet. So we all had to do Valentine's Day without any excuses. Like, couldn't we have quarantined February 13th so I could have saved a couple $100? No, I don't even remember who I took out where, but I'm sure my bank account does. On to March. Oh, we all know March. We used to love March. Purim, Nowruz, spring, March Madness. Not this year. March was canceled faster than Crystalia at a high school reunion. At first, no one took COVID seriously. White people didn't believe it until Tom Hanks got it. That's when people got sad and knew COVID was real. Not Mr. Rogers, not the guy who saved Private Ryan. So many people were so sad. When I found out Tom Hanks got COVID, I won't lie, I was actually happy. Because now I knew they would definitely find a cure. They're not going to let Tom Hanks die, not Forrest Gump. They're going to save Woody from Toy Story. You understand? If 50 Cent had caught corona, they would have let him die. I don't care how much everyone loved In Da Club. 50 Cent, he got COVID, we wouldn't have heard a thing. But Tom Hanks, I knew they would save Tom Hanks. The black community did not take COVID seriously either. That's why they canceled the NBA. That's when we realized this issue's real. Middle Eastern people, yeah, we don't take anything seriously until 7-Eleven is closed. If 7-Eleven is still open, we good. Oh yeah. On top of that, everyone all of a sudden became a doctor, epidemiologist, and a disease specialist. Persian parents would be so proud. My son is a doctor. Look at his Facebook post. April, May, June, July, August, and the first part of September was all one big super long decade of a month. For 2 weeks. At the beginning, the earth loved us again. There was no traffic, and people were getting punched over Lysol and toilet paper. I had to learn how to cook and clean, basically becoming the housewife my grandmother always wanted me to marry. We weren't allowed outside. No one worked, but we got checks anyway. Social distancing, 6 feet apart. Zoom meetings, no pants. Love it. Life was good and bad at the same time. Basically, COVID was an Orthodox Jewish family. We were never allowed to go outside. If we did, we had to come right back. We all have to cover, and boys and girls aren't allowed to touch anyways. It wasn't that big a difference, but then it happened. Protests, riots, looting. And that was just families over Shavuot Zoom parties. How are you fighting and it's not even in person? You know you can mute them, right? But the protests, riots, and looting did not stay there. The death of several black unarmed civilians by the police, highlighted with the death of George Floyd, led to civil unrest. People of all races spilled into the streets in protest. Some people took advantage of the situation and looted, causing more fear and confusion. As a black person whose life matters, I did protest, but I am very much against the looting. However, as a Persian person, I found myself constantly on Craigslist hoping for good deals. Looting is wrong. Discount prices? Salam! People fighting over right versus left rather than right versus wrong. And all of a sudden, everyone was a civil rights, race struggles, super lawyer expert. Gang wars between blue and red erupted in the streets. And I mean Republicans and Democrats, not Bloods and Crips. Everyone all of a sudden became a political expert too. Amazing how many people can read books merely by glancing at their covers. Let's not forget the WAP dance, TikTok, Tiger King, every parent becoming a homeschool teacher and celibacy advocate. And just when you thought things couldn't get worse, murder hornets. Not just regular hornets, but hornets with felony convictions came to town. Oh, 5780 has been one tough year. Joe Biden, Donald Trump, America becomes a dump. Candace Owens, AOC, names we shouldn't know. Kamala's black? Let's attack. Jeff Bezos counts his stack. PP loans, Tesla owns. Where did airlines go? Wear a mask, don't even ask. Chinese virus gets no pass. COVID-19, stay away. Rona, wash hands every day. Championship, give me dap. Ben Shapiro gets no wap. Protest, quarantine. Who knew Ellen was so mean? We didn't start the fire. Gender reveal already did. No one cares about the kid. We didn't start the fire. Blame the looters, not protest but shooters. It's okay, I can't sing, but neither can most of you. We're all much more alike than we are different. So this year, all I ask is for everyone to remember, comparison is the thief of compassion. Let's not compare struggles. If we play those games, we will all lose the Victim Olympics. Instead, forget the bad chapters of last year. We have 12 new chapters, 365 pages, and 52 Shabbats to rewrite this year. Good times might make good memories, but bad times make great lessons. Let's learn to love and grow together in 5781. Just because we can't touch each other doesn't mean we can't continue to touch each other's lives. Bad years matter. All years matter. I know. Shana Tova.
I'll send you off with one more melody. We'll send you off with music. I'll invite our Cantorial intern, David Childs, to sing us off with L'Shana Tova Tikatevu, which means may you be written for a sweet new year. So with that, everybody, Shana Tova. If you're joining us tomorrow on Zoom, we'll see you there. If not, we'll see you again on YouTube for Yom Kippur. Shana Tova, everybody.
L'shana tova tikatevu, l'shana tova tikatevu, tikatevu, l'shana tova, l'shana tova.